they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Anxious Earth is rising. Anxious Earth is rising. I'm so happy.
We spend our life searching for this sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Hey, Double Triple here. Double Triple channel. This is Ron. Ron in New Hampshire on the Double Triple channel. It is June 13th, 2025. I live in rural New Hampshire and I stream science and technology and other geeky stuff and animals and what else? I'm vegan. Stream about that sometimes. A lot of stuff. And today we're going to talk about pi or consciousness or one or the other or the universe. Who knows where it's going to go. First, I got to do my little ritual here and make sure that my audio is synced with my video, because a lot of times it isn't. So hang on just a second. Ooh, that looked like the audio was a little late, didn't it? Let's try that again. Yeah, that audio was a little late. All right, let me fix that. All right, so 100 milliseconds, I think. So we'll change that and we'll try this again. Oh, that seemed like it was off a little bit still, didn't it? I'll try again. Yeah, it's still a little bit late. About 50 milliseconds, I think, too late. All right. All right, let's see if that does it. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. So I'm just about in time for an ad, which is good. So let me, yeah, I want to wait for the ad. I don't want people to miss anything, so I'm going to let the ad run. Let me do another sync test. Oh, shit. That was shitty. Let's try again. There we go. That was, I think it's in sync already. I think so. Let's try one more time. Oh, now there's no audio at all. Oh, jeez. All right. All right, let's wait for this ad to get over. So we're going to talk about pi. I don't know what we're going to talk about. They give me an ad. I have it set up for automatic or whatever to let it figure out the algorithm or whatever, who knows what it is, figure out when to put the ads in there. And it puts an ad after 5 minutes, and then it puts an ad every 15 minutes after that. So who knows? I don't know. We've got, and it's not just an ad. It's like, 3 minutes of ads or something. Or this was a minute and a half, but it's still got a minute left. So I don't know. So it's kind of a weird topic. Pi, you know what pi is, right? I'll explain it after the ad's over. But it's, it's something I thought of a while ago, 2 weeks ago. I've been asking people about it, just trying to figure out what the deal is with that, if pi is conscious or not. Right, let's see. Oh, and I got a new thing. Did you see my thing? Did you see my new thing? I got a new thing. Here. See the thing? I got a new thing for the opening. Normally I had that weird electronic thing going, and it was messing up for some reason. My computer couldn't handle it anymore. I don't know why it was doing that. Something was messed up. So I just put a still picture in there instead. But I played the same music, and I don't think it messed up this time. I think it worked this time. All right, so I think the ads are over now. All right, so is there anything I need to cover from last time? Yeah, you should check out my last stream. It's an IRL with the animals, and it's pretty funny. There's a surprise in there and stuff. So if you didn't see my last stream, you should check it out. You can skip through it if you want to, but there's a surprise in there, which is pretty funny. Could have been tragic, but it turned out to be just fun or funny or whatever. All right, what's pi? Everybody knows what pi is, right? Pi is this circumference of a circle. That's the outside of the circle, divided by the diameter, which is what it is across. And it turns out when you do that, it's weird. It just goes on forever, So that's kind of weird. Let me see. I've got a thing here that might introduce this a little bit. Does it? Yeah. Here's a little video that explains what pi is. This is a Creative Commons video that I found out there, and it'll explain what pi is. The beginning of it. It gets into a whole bunch of other things too. But let me play this video, and then because it has a cute little graphic and stuff that explains what pi is. So here we go. All right. So this is Creative Commons. It says Creative Commons there.
The universe around you holds secrets, often hidden within mathematical constants. These constants are so deeply woven into the fabric of existence that we frequently overlook just how extraordinary they truly are. Consider the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. This ratio is the constant known as pi, with a value of approximately 3.14. It is an irrational number, meaning that its decimal representation never ends, nor enters a repeating pattern. This constant cannot be expressed as a simple fraction of two integers. Could there be universes where pi is different, say 4? Or perhaps universes where it is not constant at all, but instead a function of the diameter? Why does this world have this particular value of pi? Universes where pi has a different value would be vastly different from ours, both mathematically and physically. A change in the value of...
Okay, that's so that explains what pi is. Okay, and it's yeah, it doesn't repeat. It just goes on forever and ever. It's infinite. Another number that's infinite, which is kind of interesting, is kind of like the square. If you do the same thing with a square or something similar with a square, if you take the circumference of a square and divide it by its diagonal, that's an irrational number too, which is kind of weird. But it is. It's if you take a square and you make each side 1, right, 1 unit, then the diagonal is going to be the square root of 2, which is irrational. And if you divide 4 by the square root of 2, that's another irrational number. So so a square is almost the same thing. I mean, it has a similar property inherent with it. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, so the pi goes on forever, but they don't know if there's certain infinite series, like if you have a random, completely random series, infinite series of numbers, and it has something, and it is algebraically independent, which I have no idea what that means. I tried to find out what that means, and my little brain couldn't figure it out. It was too big for my little brain. So, but if it's algebraically independent, then a random sequence of numbers, then an infinite random sequence of numbers that's algebraically independent contains within it every single set of finite numbers. So if you have an infinite number of digits, right, that are random, it has all those conditions that I said, then any particular sequence of numbers, if it's a finite sequence, then it would be contained in that infinite sequence, which is amazing. So like everything, Shakespeare, right? That's one everybody always goes to. I don't know. The stream here, everything would fit in that infinite sequence of numbers. You know what I'm talking about? Does that make sense? Probably doesn't make sense, does it? If you had it was stuff was just in random, right, and it just went on forever. Eventually, just randomly, it would hit. It'd hit your phone number. Your phone number would come out in this sequence of numbers, right? Your name, if it was converted to ASCII or whatever, your name would come out. Your, everything, all the books that have ever been written would just randomly come out on this infinite sequence, which is just amazing to think about. But they don't know if pi has that characteristic or not. They figured out pi to gazillions of digits, and but nobody has figured out a proof to prove whether or not pi has that characteristic. It has that. They don't know if it's normal. I think normal is another thing. That's but we don't talk about normal here. It's if it's algebraically independent. They don't know if the randomness Oh, normal means it's a normal distribution of random digits. That's what it means. But anyway, they don't know if it has this characteristic wherein all the finite sequences of numbers are contained within pi. They don't know that, and nobody's figured out how to do a proof to prove that or not. And we don't even know if it's even knowable. We don't even know if there is a proof. We don't even know if you could figure that out. So it's like one of those mysteries, But so we don't know. We don't know if pi has every possible combination of numbers in it. But let's assume that it does, okay? Because it's more fun that way. Let's assume that pi has, because it is infinite. Let's suppose it has every single set of finite sequences of numbers. Then it could be conscious initiative. Now, wait a second, Ron. What do you mean? How can it be conscious? How could a number be conscious? But if you think about it, I said, well, it could have Shakespeare. It could have, everything in it. Here's a fact that will blow your mind. It's a fact that you already know, but it will blow your mind anyway. Every stream that you've ever watched on Twitch, everything you've ever seen on, every video you've ever watched online, every article you've ever read, every character in every game that you've ever played, everything that you've seen online came to you as a sequence of digits through the internet, through a wire into your computer. All of it, everything, all of it was just digits, just a sequence of digits. And if pi has that property that I'm talking about, then everything you've ever seen on the internet and everything is in pi. Isn't that amazing? That's just amazing. And it's not just that. I mean, everything. If the universe is finite, everything in the universe would be in pi. Which doesn't seem possible because pi is infinite and pi is in the universe. Maybe. Right? So how could the entire universe be in pi? If pi is in the universe, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's recursive. And I was just on Wolfram's stream. He did a stream this afternoon, and I asked him that question. He didn't get to it. But some of the other guys in there responded to what I had put in there in chat, and they were kind of talking about that a little bit, and it turns out that an infinite series contains itself within itself, possibly, or maybe it does. We don't know. No, it doesn't. It could, right? Infinity times 2 is still infinity, right? They're equal. So infinity plus 1 is equal to infinity too. So math's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, so isn't that kind of cool? So how could it be conscious? If you think about it, all your brain pattern, everything you think of could be reduced to numbers too, right? We're coming up with AIs now, AIs that are probably going to be conscious here pretty quick if they're not already, and they're just a sequence of numbers, the whole thing. All of it is just numbers, and the entire universe could be in there. You could have multiverses in pi, as long as they were finite, right? Assuming making that assumption we made at the beginning. So that's just amazing that could be the case. But you're still thinking, well, wait a second. If it's just a sequence of numbers, how can it? The universe is 3 dimensions in time, or maybe more dimensions, and it's how could just a straight sequence of numbers be a universe? And it's it's just how you, as I said, this stream right here, You know, up until this point in this stream, it's all been a bunch of series of numbers, but there's still stuff going on, right? There's time. There's all this stuff is happening. You know. So if you like say, there are a couple ways you could do it. You could say each digit, there's a Planck unit of time between each digit, or there's a, you know, or the, you know, whatever. However you fold up that line of numbers, you could make anything out of it, including something that's conscious. So that's just amazing. Oh, here's Ivan Neo, welcome to the stream, Ivan. I got a chatter. Ivan Neo streams. Let me give Ivan a shout out here because he's a streamer too. Shout out Ivan Neo. Let's see if that works. Come on. Okay, yeah, it worked. Yeah, everybody give Ivan Neo a follow. He does some. Oh no, wait, shit. Did that work? Wait. Oh, I don't know if that worked or not. I think I gave a shout out to the wrong Ivan Neo. Let me try again here. He's got a space in his name. Okay, let me try it again. Ivan Neo. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Shout out. Yeah, everybody give Ivan Neo a follow. So Ivan says, if I can get my chat to scroll back here. Ivan says, I don't think it's a matter of there being numbers. Not sure what that means, Ivan. Can you explain? Oh, there can only be. Oh, there can be only one. Oh, Oh, you don't think there can be a multiverse in there? Is that what you're saying? You don't think there could be a multiverse in pi? Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Could there be a if the universes were finite, there could be multiple, I think. Wait, sorry, I was just making a Highlander joke about the other Ivan Neo. Oh, the other Ivan Neo. Okay. There can only be one Ivan Neo, yeah. Yeah, okay. But if there's a multiverse, there are a multitude of Ivan Neos out there, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not into the whole multiverse thing. I'm not on board with that yet. I'm still thinking that one through. I don't know about that. But this idea that pi could contain everything, you know, or as long as it's finite, you know, any finite thing, is just intriguing. Let's see. Ivan says, so take Mark's view. He notes that what makes things real, as far as physics is concerned, is just relation, and relation is what we have in mathematics. Yeah. And Wolfram has a similar idea. His is he has this whole thing about the Rulliad, which is all possible calculations, and he believes that there are certain things that are irreducible. You can't reduce them, you know, to like a formula or whatever. They just are what they are. Let's see. But a sequence of numbers doesn't have the relations necessary to simulate a living consciousness. Yeah. Well, I was kind of explaining that. There are ways to do that. At the very beginning of the stream, I explained that every stream you've ever watched online, and every video you've ever watched, every paper you've ever read, everything you've ever done online came to you as a sequence of numbers, you know. So it's a matter of just interpretation, right? Or how it's encoded or interpreted or whatever. And if one of those things, like if one example I gave was that if you assumed that the distance between each number was a Planck unit of time, then you could make the thing work, or you could fold it into whatever number of dimensions you wanted to. That string of numbers, you could fold it, and it would have to be deterministic, right? It'd have to be a deterministic universe, right? It couldn't be indeterminate. It couldn't be like a free will type universe, because everything would have to be set to begin with, right? The numbers you'd have to have all this, assuming 4 dimensions, right? Space time. You'd have 3 dimensions of space and a dimension of time. That would just all be set in that sequence of numbers. So you wouldn't be able to have, like in Wolfram's idea, there are an infinite, or I don't know, infinite, maybe a finite. I don't know I haven't looked into his stuff that closely, but he has a whole. His is computations. They're all different computations that are possible in the universe. And he calls that the Reuliad. And that's a little bit different than having just a static set of numbers. It's a function. The whole world is a function rather than a set of numbers. But if you took a function, and if the universe is quantized, you had a function, and you figured them all out, then it would be a static set, right? Unless there was some sort of random element in the function. Let's see. I think Tagmart's I think Tagmart's 4th level multi-universe thesis is wrong because it is inherently Platonist. He assumes that mathematical structures exist even if they are never actually computed. Okay, right. Right, yeah, that's what this Reuliad is. It's the same thing. It's like every possible thing that could be. And I don't know how Tagmart's stuff relates to what Wolfram does. It's his 4th level multi-universe. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Platonist is. I don't know what that means in this context. Never actually computed. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, that is a thing. That's one of the. You can think of it as an advantage or disadvantage to that concept, right? That the universe is composed of the possible calculations, or the possible, or is composed just of the math. In that mathematical concepts or mathematical relationships exist even without somebody to know that they exist. You know what I'm saying? Or to calculate them. I mean, pi is a thing. Pi is a thing, whether no matter what, it's a thing. It exists, whether or not pi existed before humans did, right? It existed forever, right? It's a concept. Maybe it pre-existed the universe, who knows, but it's a mathematical thing. And if you have this set of all those mathematical things and all the mathematical functions that are possible, that you can derive without, naturally, without introducing a bunch of stuff that's man-made into it, then maybe that's what the universe is composed of. Let's see. Platonism. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Platonic. Right? That's what you're talking about. Platonism, I think, is the idea that universal abstractions like ideal circles are as real or more real than physical circles or than brains that are just abstracting them. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was. This whole idea with pi is if the whole was Boltzmann's brains and all that. But that was an insult, I think, for the guy, wasn't it? Wasn't that? I think the story, the way the story goes, that Boltzmann came up with these theories, and then people made fun of him by coming up with these things called Boltzmann brains, I think is what it was. But the Big Bang was the same way. When they came up with the idea of the universe expanding from a point, the term Big Bang was derogatory. They were trying to make fun of it, and then they just went with it. Yeah, but that's the idea of the relations. That whole idea of relations of the things. I think it can exist without the physical part. I think all those relations do exist. And that was one of the advantages of what Wolfram says is that these concepts exist irrespective of any physical thing. Before the universe exists, these relationships exist, and that way you can get around the idea of what caused the universe or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If it just exists because it is, they exist no matter what. So, but yeah, if pi is conscious, if pi has all the characteristics, then I think it could be conscious. There could be a consciousness in there. Let's see, but he really means if we had a computer a billion years ago, we would prove the same theorems. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That's not existing a billion years ago. Well, there could have been computers a billion years ago, right? I think so. Unless you redefine the word exist. Yeah, I think there could have been a civilization somewhere in the universe that evolved to create computers a billion years ago. I think that's possible, isn't it? I don't see why not. The universe is 13, 14 billion, or who knows what they're gonna. They may have to change that here pretty quick with the new data they're getting. But let's see. Sure, but how about right? It could. Did it exist before the universe existed? That's the. Right, right. I get it. But if the universe is composed of that, if you know what I'm saying, if our universe is composed of a bunch of calculations or just the math, and this in our universe here that looks like it came from a big bang is just one little sliver of that whole set set of all the calculations or all the numbers or whatever it is. then it always existed, and time is just our way of just looking at it, just experiencing it, It's just another dimension, and we're just that's just the way we see it. But yeah, that's I don't know the whole idea of pi is just it is really funny. I'll play this video here. Let me play this video again. This video gets really it's the introduction here is where the guy just explained what pi is, but then he goes on to this really really space cadet stuff, but I'll play it anyway, just for fun, just for entertainment purposes. Again, this is a Creative Commons thing.
Pi would
I'll
alter
play this
Euclidean geometry, natural laws, planetary orbits, wave behavior, the properties of light, and many other parameters. But what if pi is only slightly different from the current value, say starting from digits after the position 762? Would it really matter? Probably not. Such a universe would likely be nearly identical to ours, with no noticeable changes in the laws of physics or the geometry of things humans can perceive. These types of questions are important for understanding reality. They are difficult to answer since we observe only this universe, the one we exist in. We do not know the value of the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter in other universes. Here's a provocative thought. If this universe is not a self-organized realm that arose from an infinite number of chaotic possibilities, but was instead designed from the ground up, then it is entirely possible that pi holds a message for us. Today is known to approximately 200 trillion decimal places.
Okay, so this guy is imagining universes where pi is not what it is. You know what I mean? I don't see how you could do that. It requires 2 dimensions, right? But beyond that, I don't see how you could have a situation where it is not anything but what it is. You know, how could pi be different than what it is? You know, you got a circle. A circle by definition is a geometric form, and it has a circumference and a diameter, and you divide them out, and that's what you get. So I can't imagine how you could have a universe with a different pi in it. So right away, the guy's thesis here is kind of going off the rails, I think. But I watched this video, and it really goes way off the rails here. But it's entertaining anyway, so we'll listen to it. Oh, wait.
Decimal places in the seemingly infinite sequence of decimal places. Humans only need 16 numbers of this constant for the most precise operations, such as navigating satellites or colliding fundamental particles in accelerators. What lies beyond these 16 decimal places in the seemingly infinite sequence of random numbers that make up the constant pi remains unknown. If pi holds a secret and encodes information, then its infinite sequence of digits is the perfect place for it. The 200 trillion decimal places of pi that have been discovered contain approximately 84 terabytes of actual data. If the universe is not just a random occurrence, perhaps we could uncover a hidden message within the digits of this constant. In fact, there is one strange observation related to the constant pi. This number contains a sequence of 6 consecutive 9s, 9999999, starting from the 762nd decimal place. This phenomenon is sometimes called the Feynman point.
Okay, so all right, so this guy is, and this is kind of a famous thing in pi, right? It happens, and it's statistically unlikely that it would happen, and so people get all excited about this that there are 6 9s in a row inside pi, and so this guy goes way off on this. He goes way off. He gets into all kinds of stuff on this thing. I'm gonna play something here real quick. Is this right? Oh, 5. Did you hear that? Did that work? I don't know. I was gonna try to play the Beatles. The Beatles has this thing in one one of their songs, they got this guy saying number nine, number nine, number nine, and it made me wonder if they pulled that because of this, if it was because of this thing in pi. Anyway, people just numerology, exactly. Yeah, Ivan Neo says, oi, oi, numerology. Yeah, that's what it is. It's because it has some significance to us. We got 10 fingers, so we're using base 10. If we had 3 fingers on each hand, or 8 fingers in each hand, then this wouldn't happen. It's right. We got 10 fingers. That's why we use base 10. If we were aliens on another planet, we had 3 fingers on each hand, then we'd be doing things in base 3. That's where double tribble comes from, by the way. I'll explain that one day. But what a tribble it actually is. Anyway, so this guy just goes on, and he does actually acknowledge the idea that it's arbitrary that we're using base 10. But anyway, I'll play this. It's kind of it's entertaining.
Named after the famous American physicist Richard Feynman. Isn't it true that an infinite sequence of random digits contains every possible number, including your birth date? True. However, we wouldn't expect well-recognizable numbers to appear very early in the sequence. For example, similar patterns consisting of the same digits appear only after position 250,000. The probability of finding such a simple, well-recognizable pattern, such as 999999, within the first 762 digits of a random irrational number is less than 0.0008. This is a very small probability. Even a much common pattern consisting of only 3 digits, such as 999, does not show up earlier than 999999. This is really odd. If this world was intentionally designed, this pattern could be a symbol which was deliberately placed for us to discover. Maybe it is meant to tell us something about the foundation of this universe, whose structure is fully determined by the constant pi. Could this be a marker for decrypting a message about us? It is very likely that universes in which the digits of pi differ only after position 762 would be identical to our own. This means the creator could use the remaining digits as a placeholder for information to convey a message. Imagine this. The universe was created, and the creator needed to leave a signature within it, one that only humans could recognize. This mark had to be highly distinctive and simple, ensuring easy identification. More importantly, it had to exist within the decimal system, which is tied to human biology and the structure of our hands. Similar markers must not exist in other numeric systems. The number 999999 is an excellent candidate for such a purpose. If you hold religious beliefs, you may recognize its remarkable significance. The digit 9 holds sacred meaning in Scandinavian and ancient Germanic symbolism. For Buddhists, 9 represents the highest spiritual power. In the Bible, it is the number of signs granted by the Lord.
All right. I knew I'd get Ivan going on this one. He says, no, it could not. I'm not sure what you were referring to when you said no, it could not. Let's see. Okay, we've got somebody. Okay, I don't know what you put here. Let's see. Message held. Okay, I don't know what it held your message for some reason. Yeah, you said no, it could not, and then you said, oh, God could have just arranged the stars to say, hey, idiots, it's me, God. Yes, exactly. Yeah, why encrypt it? Why make it so hidden? Or, there was a series, there was a show. What was it? Star Trek. Was it a Star Trek episode? I think it was one of them. I don't know, somewhere in the franchise there was a Star Trek where they decoded the DNA and found there was a hidden message in human DNA, And then they found out that other species around in the Federation or whatever their thing is also had them, and they had to get the sequences of several different species in the Federation to put them together to find out this big secret or something. But anyway, it's kind of funny, and I had thought about that before I'd even seen that series. I had thought about that. I said, God, wouldn't that be a good sci-fi plot? To have a hidden message inside of our DNA. Which, I mean, you could imagine a situation like that, right? You could. I mean, we're getting to the point here where we can encode things in DNA ourselves, right? I think somebody put out a record album in DNA form or something. So I mean, we're at that point, right? And so you could say, okay, maybe there was some intelligent species that came, a billion years ago, right? We were talking about a billion years ago, and just for fun, they made life that had a little sequence in it, and somehow it got wrapped up into our DNA, and Anyway, let's see. Ivan Neo says in English, of course, yes, yes, in English. In English, that reminds me of that joke. Oh yeah, that's one of the. There's a mega person, and he's complaining about immigrants and stuff like this. And he says, oh, they should all speak English. He says if the King's English was good enough for Jesus, it should be good enough for them. Everybody's trying to think of it. Everybody's, it depends on how narrow your view is, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know if we should go any further with this video or not. I don't know. We'll play some more of it just for fun. I don't know. He did release this thing, on Creative Commons, so we should be nice to him, right? Thank you, guy, for releasing your thing on Creative Commons. And you did have some really good stuff at the beginning of the video that explained what pi was, and this second half of the video is more controversial. Okay, so let's.
To Moses, 999 is the opposite of 666 and is often interpreted as a sign of God. However, using only 3 digits does not make this marker special. It is simply too common in the sequence of digits of the constant pi. A good marker must be long enough that its occurrence in pi is very rare. It can be recognized by modern people who can calculate pi to the precision needed to find it. This pattern repeats the number 9 exactly 6 times. According to the Bible, the number 6 itself is associated with man, who was created on the 6th day. In our previous stories, we have shown that the very existence of this universe is based on the number 6. From the most fundamental particles to carbon, the building block of life. There could be no better sign than the number 9 repeated 6 times to serve as a marker for a message. Perhaps this symbol is simply the identification number of our universe, among an infinite number of universes with similar properties. Could it be that it serves as a label for the universe inhabited by humans? After all, humans can easily assign meaning to such a pattern. Or even more. What if this is the sign defining the start of the sequence of numbers we should pay special attention to? Perhaps all the digits that follow 999999.
Okay, he's talking about using that 99999 repeating 9 thing as a marker, right? To say, okay, from this point on, these digits mean something, right? Forget about the ones that came before. I don't know. Why not just use the decimal point? Oh. Okay, so he's saying, and also, he's got this 762. Why? Maybe that means something, 7 minus 6 is 1, and then 2. It's a 1, 2. Maybe that means something. Yeah, it's numerology is what it is. All right, I'll play some more here. I don't want to, we're critiquing this, right? We're critiquing this. This is this guy's thesis, and we're critiquing it. I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm not making, I'm critiquing his ideas. Okay. This is a safe space where it's inclusive, and I don't like to be derisive towards people. But I disagree with his thesis. Okay.
And wrote a message meant for us, humans, who explore this world with the guidance of this constant. But what could this message be?
Okay. All right. I guess that's it. So that was that guy's deal. Let me check. I'm gonna check the sync on my audio here really quick because I could have messed it up by playing that video. That's close enough. Yeah, that's pretty good. So that was that guy's idea. So, I mean, my my idea of asking whether or not pi is conscious, that's pretty off the wall too, right? That's that's kind of a weird thing to propose or to suggest or to think about or whatever. But it could be, and maybe there's the thing. One of the I was trying to reading about this and watching a few things about it and stuff, and somebody came up with the idea. Well, yeah, if it could include everything, right? All the finite sequences, but you'd have to find them, right? You'd have to how do you know where they are? It could have the answers to all the problems, right? All the science problems that ever existed, right? It could be answered in pi, but we'd have to find it, right? We have to know what the answer was first in order to find it in pi, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that it's there it's not meaningless, but it's somewhat useless because we'd have to know to find it, right? But if there really is a consciousness, right? If it really is, if consciousness can exist outside of physicality, then there's a conscious thing in there, maybe multiple, or a whole bunch of them, right? Infinite number, maybe, I don't know, of different consciousnesses inside of pi. That's possible, right? So anyway, that was that was kind of interesting. What was I thinking? Oh. Yeah, if another thing is if everything that's ever been written and everything that all of the Twitch streams and everything are in pi, then what I don't know. I heard from a reliable source that Will Smith was considering suing pi for violating copyright of the next movie that he's gonna release. Yeah. I mean, what does that mean? There was somebody who did something. What the heck did they do? They printed out every combination of musical note or something like that. They had a computer generate every combination of musical note up to a certain length or whatever, and then they copyrighted it. And so nobody else can make music anymore without violating the guy's copyright. You know, yeah. I've talked about copyright before. It's pretty messed up. I had another video here that I wanted to play. These are videos that are in the Creative Commons. If you ever want to, if you really want some entertainment and you want to watch stuff that's different than the normal stuff that the algorithm feeds you on YouTube, go in there and do a search for something, and then go up to the filters and click filters and Creative Commons. Say you only want stuff that's in Creative Commons, and you'll get the weirdest. You'll get all kinds of different stuff, much different than what the algorithm gives you. So let me see if I can play this other video that I got here. This is a longer video. It's 27 minutes long, but I just clipped a little bit of it just to play, because this it was very much the same thing, you know. At the beginning, he explained what pi was and got into a lot of stuff about what pi was, but there were some interesting things he had at the end here that we haven't touched on yet. So I'll play that. So let's see. Yeah, this is Creative Commons. See, it's Creative Commons.
Mathematicians is reached. American mathematicians Stan Wagon and Stanley Rabinowitz produced bigger algorithms in 1995. Its speed is comparable to arctan algorithms, but not as fast as iterative algorithms. Then another Spigot algorithm was discovered in 1995 too by Simon Plouffe, known as the BBP, digit extraction algorithm. This is breakthrough, even though it gives result in hexadecimal digits or base 16, because they can find digits of any decimal places. It is also common that they use this algorithm to verify the new records by converting the last digits of the decimal places of the findings to
Yeah, what he's talking about there is, you know, they got different ways of figuring out pi, right? And they figured it out to trillions of digits and stuff, and they have different algorithms for doing that, and they have ways of proving that the algorithms actually do give them the right stuff and all that. And some of the algorithms are set up so that they have to figure out the digits in sequence. You know, they got to start at 3, 1, 4, 5, you know, whatever that is, and they can't get, you know, the trillionth digit without doing all the ones before it. Those are in sequence. But there's somebody came up with this one where he could feed in any arbitrary numbered digit of pi, and it would figure out what that number is. In other words, you know, if you want to figure out what the 5 millionth or digit of pi is, you could put 5 million into this guy's little algorithm, and it would spit out what the digit was of pi. But apparently it's in hex. But and what they do is they use that algorithm. It's a slow algorithm. It takes a long time to calculate. But what they can do is because they can arbitrarily pick, you know, go way deep into pi and find a particular digit, they can use that algorithm to prove that these other algorithms that they're testing and working with actually work. You know what I'm saying? That's what the guy was just saying there. So let me continue with this one here.
base 16 numbers and use the number to find random base 16 number near the end of the decimal values of the findings that we want to verify. If it is the same, then the finding is verified. During 1998 to 2000, the distributed computing project PyHex used Bella's formula that is modified from the BBP algorithm to compute the quadrillionth digits of pi, which turned out to be 0. In September 2010, a Yahoo employee ran the company's Hadoop application on 1,000 computers over a 23-day period to compute calculation of the true quadrillionth digit of pi. It turned out to also be 0. Now let's have pi. Having 3 pi is easy. Having 0.14159 pi is tricky, but not that tricky. Consider this. According to number file, we now know that we only need 39 digits of pi to know the circumference of the observable universe to the accuracy of less than 1 hydrogen atom. Since the thicker side of our knife's blade is as small as about 2 mm wide, this means we can cut any smaller than 2 mm with this knife. Actually, 2 decimal places, 3.14, is enough. If we calculate the difference between the 0.142 and 0.14 of the circumference of the pi, that is 90 centimeter in circumference or nearly a foot in diameter, you would get the difference of 1.8 millimeters. This means if you use 3 decimal places of pi's and 2 decimal places of pi's, the differences of the two will be too small that it is impossible to cut the pi's with this knife to be any closer to any further than 3 decimal places of pi. Isaac Newton said himself that after coming up with 15 digits of pi, he said, "I am ashamed to tell you to how many figures I carried these computations, having no other business at the time." We actually incline to more digits of pi than we actually need. Actually, we just need too little amount of pi that we already discovered. We can use computers to compute lots of digits of pi to test the computer's speed, but also to beat the records or to feed our own curiosity. The curiosity have led us from where our species begin in Africa out to all over the places like in the present time, conquering the world indeed. If you said the curiosity kills the cat, maybe this time you need to say curiosity leads humanity too. And as always, come back later where we'll scoop into more science and serve you the knowledges spoon by spoon. And this has been Science in Soup. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Science Soup. Everybody subscribe to Science Soup on YouTube. So that's kind of interesting about the pi, and the whole, you only need just a couple digits of pi there to have the precision of a knife slicing through a pie. That's amazing. And what was it? What did he say? 39 digits of pi is enough to calculate to like find any point in the universe. What was it? Oh, to calculate the distance in if you like taking the circumference of the universe, I guess the size of the universe compared to the size of a hydrogen atom. I think is that what he said, or a proton? I forget what he said. Anyway, it's just funny. You do these amazing things with numbers. So yeah, that thing I said about Will Smith suing Pi for copyright violation, that was a joke, by the way. Now, he He can't see. He wouldn't get anything, right? If he sued pi. Actually, he could ask for any number he wanted, right? But he's not. That was a joke. Okay. So yeah, pi might be conscious, maybe, or it might have multiple consciousnesses, might have a whole universe, might have multiverses in it. We don't know. But I just thought that was just kind of an interesting subject to have to talk about on a stream. Was pi interesting? And there are other ones too. Did I talk about that? Yeah, I think I talked about that. That a square is kind of the same way. If you take the circumference of a square with one on each side, and divide it by the diagonal, you kind of get another irrational number. Yeah, 2 divided, or the square root of 2, basically, is what that is. And E is another one, and so, yeah, math is fun. All right, so I don't know. I think we talked that one to death. I don't think there's anything else that I need to do here. I didn't have anything else planned other than to talk about that. There are implications to that, I guess. Maybe. Oh, whether pi is inside of pi. That was it. You can't have an irrational number inside of pi. There was a mathematician that proved that or showed that because pi is already irrational and you can't put another irrational number inside of it because an irrational number is infinite and it only works with finite series. You can't put an infinite series inside of pi. So that was another one. And then another question that came up actually was whether pi, if the whole universe could fit in pi, but that might not work because pi is part of the universe, and pi wouldn't be able to fit inside of itself. Oh, Ivan Neo says there are an infinity of irrational numbers. Oh, okay. Yeah, there is. Yeah, that makes sense. And so there would be an infinite number of everythings. Yeah, you could have every combination of everything, couldn't you? In an infinite series of numbers. Yeah, that's where I was thinking about that multiverse thing. I don't know. I know, Ivan, your concept of the multiverse is the derivation anyway is different than just looking at pi. I know yours is more about on the quantum level because the quantum the outcome of an interaction at a quantum level is not determined ahead of time by some interpretations, which means that it could go either way, which means that it would both those, because it's like in a superposition, so both of those outcomes exist at the same time, which means that the multiple universes would exist at the same time. I think that's kind of a chopped up summary of what you're. Let's see. Max Tegmark defines 4 levels. Okay. Spatially infinite universes, infinite bubbles in eternal inflation models. Eternal inflation mind. Okay. Infinite bubbles in internal inflation models. Oh, and many worlds of QM. Okay. And the 4th one is what? Let's see, many worlds of QM. Okay. If math is equal to physics, then there is a universe for every possible mathematical structure. Yeah. Yeah. So 2 of those are multiverses. Have multiverses in them, right? Or spaceship bubbles in it. Okay. Okay. So those are 4 levels of multiverse. Is that what that means? Yeah, because all of those are all different ways of getting multiverses. But your idea, Ivan, I think you've said is the QM model that I just explained. He's not saying they all exist, just classifying it. Oh, okay, just the possibilities, right? To think about it, just to kind of have ways of thinking about the different possibilities. Yeah. Yeah, the idea of pi, of having all what we've been talking about all this time about pi and having stuff in pi and having universes in pi and all that. It's just one tiny way of looking at it, right? There's lots of different ways to get there. Although 4 is his contribution. Okay, so he's done a lot of work in number 4, right? Yeah, and I understand you're uncomfortable with that. You're more comfortable with a physical universe than just a mathematical one. So yeah, I'm uncomfortable with multiverses just in general. It's just one of the, as far as we can tell today, there's no way to confirm it, so which makes it kind of a lousy hypothesis, right? If you get, it's not a good hypothesis if you can't prove it wrong. To have you have to have a testable hypothesis, one that can be proven wrong. If it can be proven wrong, then it's valid scientifically, I think. Right? If you can't do that, then the hypothesis or whatever is just kind of stuck in the area of philosophy. It's not a scientific thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we've gone through everything here. I don't know. We could go on and on about this. But I just thought, it's a couple weeks ago, I was just laying in bed and I was just thinking, if pi is infinite, and my mind just went through all this stuff. And after I figured it out, I said, okay, yes, somebody must have figured all this out before somewhere, so I'll look it up. And there's a lot of people who were thinking about that. All right, so yeah, I guess we're all done. I don't have enough people here to rate out to anybody. But I do appreciate everybody joining the stream. And yeah, give me a follow and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Oh, let me type in my stuff here. That's all my links to my thing. Well, you're welcome, Ivan. I appreciate you coming in and chatting with me today. Yeah, those for people on the VOD. Those are my. You can find my videos at doubletribble-yt on YouTube. That's my YouTube stuff. I also have doubletribble.com, where I put most of my videos up on my own website, which I just made a couple weeks ago. I've got videos showing me making that website. And I have a Mastodon account somewhere, which I don't remember what the link is. I don't use it anyway, but I'm on Mastodon somewhere. Double Tribble's out there somewhere on Mastodon. And what else? Oh, my last stream was about animals. If you're into IRL stuff, I did took pictures of the animals in my backyard, and it was pretty. It was like Wild Kingdom back there. It was pretty exciting if you're into that kind of stuff. And I was able to feed a little chipmunk with my hand. He took a peanut out of my hand and all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of a cool stream if you like nature stuff. Okay, all right, that's enough self-promotion. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. I appreciate it, and take care. We'll see you next time. I'll try to do streams more often now. See you later. Bye.